You may have noticed something strange. Sometimes, the harder you want something, the farther away it seems to feel. You think about it constantly. You plan for it. You chase it. You try to do everything right. And yet somehow, the thing you want remains just beyond your reach. And that can be incredibly frustrating because you are not lazy. You are not incapable. You are genuinely trying. So why does reality sometimes feel like it is playing hard to get? Here is the uncomfortable truth. You may have been taught the wrong order of creation. Most people are conditioned to believe that external circumstances must change before their internal state can change. Once I have the money, I will relax. Once I meet the right person, I will feel loved. Once I achieve my goal, I will feel successful. Once I look the way I want, I will finally feel confident. It sounds logical. But this way of thinking can keep you trapped. You begin chasing external circumstances because you believe they are responsible for creating your emotional state. Yet circumstances do not create your inner world. They can influence you, trigger you, or temporarily excite you, but they do not permanently determine who you are. You can receive the money and still feel afraid of losing it. You can enter a relationship and still feel unworthy of love. You can achieve something incredible and still feel like you are not enough. Why? Because your nervous system and identity have a familiar baseline. If your default state is fear, pressure, scarcity, insecurity, or not enoughness, you can change your surroundings and still carry the same internal experience with you. You could stand in paradise and still feel like you are fighting a war. That does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you have been conditioned. And that is why the real problem may not be that you are not doing enough. You may simply be doing it backward. Think about a mirror. You cannot stand in front of a mirror and demand that its reflection smile before you do. The reflection follows the original. You change your expression first, and the mirror reflects it. External reality works in a similar way. Your outer world is the reflection. Your inner state is the source. Once this idea moves beyond your mind and you actually feel it within yourself, something begins to change. Manifestation stops feeling like a desperate struggle. It becomes more like tuning an instrument. Instead of constantly obsessing over how something will happen, you begin paying attention to the state from which you are creating. And this is where the idea of a magnetic frequency becomes powerful. It is not about pretending to be positive. It is not about forcing yourself to feel amazing every second. It is a state of being. A state where you stop desperately chasing your desires and begin becoming the kind of person who naturally moves toward them. Think about the world around you. You did not create the trees. You did not design the human body. You did not invent breathing. You did not sit down one morning and decide that gravity should exist. Something much larger than your individual mind is already sustaining life. You can call it God. You can call it Source. You can call it consciousness. You can call it life. The name is less important than the recognition that there is an intelligence moving through existence. Ancient traditions have described reality as having different levels of expression. The Hermetic traditions, for example, speak about spiritual, mental, and physical planes. You can think of them as different layers through which consciousness becomes increasingly visible and tangible. The physical world is the densest layer. It is where possibilities eventually become experiences we can see, touch, and measure. But physical reality is only a fraction of what exists. Think about light. Human eyes can detect only a tiny portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. There is an enormous world of frequencies beyond what your eyes can perceive. Your senses already filter reality. So what you call reality is not the entirety of existence. It is simply the portion your human system can currently detect. And this is where you come in. You are not merely a body collecting circumstances. You can imagine. You can remember. You can reason. You can create. You can picture something that does not yet exist. A house begins as an idea before it becomes a building. An airplane begins as a concept before it becomes a machine. A painting begins as an image inside someone's mind before it becomes visible on a canvas. Everything physical has, in some way, passed through an invisible stage before becoming visible. Possibility comes first. Then consciousness engages with it. Then action gives it form. Yet many people reverse this process. They look at their current circumstances and allow those circumstances to define their identity. I see lack, therefore I am lacking. I feel stuck, therefore I am stuck. I was rejected, therefore I am unworthy. My bank account is low, therefore I cannot feel secure. And the cycle becomes stronger. What you repeatedly identify with begins shaping the way you think, feel, behave, and respond. Your inner state influences your experience. As within, so without. So the way forward is not to deny what you see. It is to stop allowing what you see to become the final definition of who you are. You can look honestly at your circumstances and say, "This is what the mirror is showing me right now." Then you can remember. The mirror is not the creator. You are allowed to choose the inner state from which you move forward. Not as denial. Not as fake positivity. Not as pretending that problems do not exist. But as conscious creation. And this is where the magnetic frequency becomes practical. Imagine your desire as a current moving through a river. Potential is already everywhere. But a river cannot flow through a wall. When your inner world is constantly tense, fearful, frantic, and obsessed with controlling every outcome, you create resistance. It is like building a dam and then wondering why the water is not flowing. Many people live in this survival state. Their shoulders are tense. Their minds are constantly racing. They are always thinking 5 steps ahead. They need reassurance. They need proof. They need immediate results. They try to control every detail because, somewhere inside, they believe safety must be earned. And there is no shame in that. Survival patterns often develop through stress, uncertainty, disappointment, and painful experiences. But survival is not the same as creation. A constricted state makes it difficult to recognize opportunities, trust your intuition, think clearly, or take aligned action. So what is the magnetic frequency? It is the opposite of grasping. It is calm. It is inner stability. It is quiet confidence. It is the feeling of knowing that you do not need constant external proof to remain grounded. Calm is not weakness. Calm is power without noise. When your mind stops fighting everything around you, you create space. And in that space, clarity becomes easier to hear. Ancient teachings expressed this idea through the language of the kingdom. Seek first the kingdom of God. The message is not to chase circumstances first and hope they eventually give you peace. It is to establish the inner state first. Peace first. Trust first. Connection first. Then allow your actions and circumstances to unfold from that state. Another teaching describes the kingdom as being within you. The deeper message is that heaven does not have to begin as an external destination. It can begin as an internal state. So how do you actually enter that state in everyday life? There are 4 practices that can help. First, stillness. Meditate. You do not need a complicated ritual. Sit down. Close your eyes. Become quiet. Give yourself space away from constant stimulation. At first, your mind may feel chaotic. Thoughts will appear. Memories will surface. Plans will interrupt you. That is okay. You do not have to fight your thoughts. Simply notice them and return to awareness. With practice, the mental noise begins to settle. And eventually, you may discover something beneath the noise. Space. Stillness. Presence. You begin to realize that you are not every thought that enters your mind. You are the awareness observing those thoughts. And that realization creates freedom. Second, regulate your nervous system. You cannot expect your mind to live in peace while your body believes it is constantly under threat. Slow down. Breathe. Move your body. Spend time in environments that support your well-being. Use grounding or somatic practices that help you reconnect with the present moment. When your body becomes calmer, something interesting happens. You become more capable of hearing your intuition. Your decisions become clearer. You stop taking frantic action simply because you are afraid. Instead, you begin taking intentional action because it feels aligned. One clear step can accomplish more than weeks of anxious activity. Third, release emotional blocks. This is where inner work becomes important. Do not expect one meditation, one affirmation, or one exercise to erase everything you have carried for years. Growth is ongoing. Sometimes, when you become calmer and more conscious, old emotions rise to the surface. That does not necessarily mean you are going backward. It may mean something is finally ready to be acknowledged. A trigger can become an invitation. Instead of immediately suppressing the emotion, pause. Ask yourself, what is this really about? What am I afraid of? What am I believing right now? What does this part of me need? Write it down. Give the emotion room to be understood. You do not have to become your emotions. You can witness them, process them, and let them move through you. What you refuse to face can continue consuming your energy. What you consciously process can become space. And space creates freedom. Fourth, respond instead of react. This practice can transform everything. Every time you react impulsively to external circumstances, you allow the mirror to decide how you feel. Someone criticizes you, and suddenly you become angry. Something goes wrong, and suddenly you become hopeless. You see a disappointing number in your bank account, and suddenly you decide that your entire future is doomed. Instead, pause. Breathe. Create a moment between what happens and how you respond. Then choose. Ask, what energy do I want to bring into this moment? You might remind yourself, even this can work for my growth. That does not mean pretending something painful is good. It means refusing to surrender your inner power to the circumstance. You are no longer allowing the external world to dictate your identity. You are choosing your response consciously. And when you combine these four practices, something begins to shift. You stop desperately needing your desires. And that is important. Because desperation communicates lack. Calm communicates sufficiency. Need says, I do not have it. Inner stability says, I am already whole while I move toward it. That difference can transform the way you act. You stop chasing opportunities from fear. You begin recognizing opportunities from clarity. You stop forcing relationships. You begin becoming someone capable of healthier connection. You stop obsessing over money. You begin making wiser financial decisions. You stop demanding that life prove everything immediately. You begin trusting yourself enough to keep moving. This is the real invitation. Stop trying to wrestle reality into submission through pressure and urgency. Start treating your inner state like a steering wheel. Your circumstances matter. Your challenges matter. Your physical reality matters. But they do not have to become the author of your identity. Choose the order consciously. Create the state first. Peace. Certainty. Inner safety. Quiet joy. Clarity. Then allow your outer world to catch up. It may not happen instantly. And that is okay. A mirror does not change because you yell at it. It changes when you change what stands before it. So keep practicing. Do not wait for proof before becoming calm. Do not wait for permission before trusting yourself. Do not wait for the perfect circumstances before creating inner stability. Sit down. Become still. Regulate your body. Face what needs healing. And practice responding like a conscious creator instead of reacting from fear. Do it every day. Not as another chore, but as a devotion to the person you are becoming. Because eventually, something beautiful begins to happen. Life no longer feels like something you have to constantly fight. Your desires no longer feel like distant objects you must desperately chase. You become calmer, clearer, more grounded, more present. And from that place, you begin moving differently. You notice different possibilities. You make different decisions. You carry yourself differently. You become less driven by fear and more guided by alignment. That is the magnetic frequency. Not perfection. Not constant positivity. Not escaping reality. But becoming so internally anchored that external circumstances no longer control your sense of who you are. And perhaps the greatest sign that you are entering that state is simple. Life begins to feel less like a struggle, and more like a flow that finally recognizes you.